Good evening, everyone. It is now really the last few days of our operations in 2025. And I wanted to take this opportunity of having an update on what we've been up to, the year in view, and the plans for next year. And of course, to say a massive thank you to all of you who've supported us on the channels, both here and Instagram, who have, of course, emailed in and, of course, have bought watches. It has been tremendous. In 2025, which I think we can all agree has been a tumultuous year with a lot of global uncertainty and a lot of unrest, it's wonderful to have a haven of peace and tranquility. And really, the fact that we've grown nearly threefold in 2025 is extraordinary, and we can only do it with your support. So I want to say thank you. It's been amazing. I just want to say that obviously we've had a number of things going on in the year, and when I look at 2025 and how things have gone, it's just quite incredible. First of all, we ended the year with our professional chronograph, which we launched, and that was a project that we started 18 months ago. It was the very early stages of it. We knew we had a chronograph, we knew the design parameters we had. We were lucky that we had a commission which helped us develop this watch for a certain user, and we wanted the watch to be not only good value and a good design, but also to perform well at a reasonable price point. And it's always interesting for me how just things fall into place and ideas come together, and when you've got good people you work with and who are great customers, it just seems that everything just fell into place with this project. So not only we were able to develop this chronograph from the ground up, we were able to refine the case, we have that great dial with a Swiss molded loom, but then when the opportunity came for us to expand into UK assembly, it's something we wanted to grasp at. And we've known the people we're working with, our watchmakers for assembly, for a number of years, and it's brilliant to be bringing back not just assembly and design and testing to the UK, but also the packaging, which I'll be working on over Christmas. That's my job. And in fact, I had a meeting with the packaging people on Friday. A husband and wife team. Is a third generation family business who create packaging for some of the most illustrious names in, well, I suppose in UK packaging, some of which have the Royal Warrant. It's amazing that we're getting their attention to detail and skill. And, you know, as we progress the chronograph project, I'm going to be taking you behind the scenes, not just of delivery and assembly and testing, but also the way we manufacture the packaging, the details we go to, the tooling we're creating, and just the elements that I think you'll enjoy seeing, which I think is very special to us. Now, of this morning, or I should say about 20 minutes ago, of this morning's date, what we want to do is really just tell you that we're just nearly just under 50% pre-sold of the chronograph, which is amazing. And that's just something we're very proud of. And I think what's important is that we can only do this with your support. Now, just a little bit of background before me, and I've got a chap asking me the questions, Real Madrid for life, what the plane in the background is. And that's a good way to start this conversation. That is the Miles M52. It was an aircraft that was developed in the Miles company, by the Miles company. And it was meant to be the first supersonic aircraft. It was developed on drawing board. Actually, the prototypes were being built, and it never saw service. Now, there is some idea. In fact, let me just show it to you. Let me just go up and get it for you. If you look at this shape, and this is the sort of thing I'm interested in, you'll see that this shape is very similar to the Bell X1. This is actually the jet air intake here, and these were razor thin wings. And it was part of the development work for Miles aircraft. It never flew. They say that they shared the secrets of the supersonic flight, the shape and everything, with the Americans. And there was an attempt to really not push this into serious production or even fly. Apparently it was ready to fly. And there's some brilliant interviews on YouTube with Eric Brown, the really legendary test pilot who was going to fly this. This was our supersonic aircraft that never flew. And look at the development. This was 1945. I mean, amazing, isn't it? Looks very Buck Rogers. But it's from that sort of aviation history that I started thinking about the chronograph. And then I discovered that there was a Mustard space shuttle, multi-use space transport and recovery device. And I thought that was a fascinating story. And then, of course, I started thinking, well, what watches would the Mustard crew have worn? Again, it was a project that never got off the drawing board. I mean, it was designed really innovative, where three space shuttles joined together. So, you know, it was really fantastic with this story. And we just suddenly thought, well, this is great, isn't it? It brings manufacturing or our assembly back to the UK. It's inspired by space travel. And I thought, well, a space chronograph sounds good. And on the back of the watch, you'll see, and we did the tooling for the watches yesterday, you'll see this Mustard spacecraft. And actually, there's a little legend on there which says, in fact, no, hold on, I've got it here. So this is a prototype box, but you'll see on the prototype box, there's the Mustard space shuttle and the performance parameters of it. And again, if found, please return to the Space Controller's Office, Farnborough. Just thought it was a bit of fun. And we just thought about those chronographs that have been launched recently, and we wanted to have something that was sapphire crystal, stainless steel, just so wonderful to have that history. And that's how we developed the Mustard chronograph. My favourite aircraft, I mean, there are so many. I think it has to be the de Havilland Mosquito. Now, our offices where I'm sitting now, I can walk to Salisbury Hall in Hertfordshire, which is where the first Mosquito prototype took part. I'm a member of the association there, and there they have lots of original drawings and blueprints and design elements from the de Havilland company, like the Vampire and aircraft like that. So I love all that British aviation history. Now, going on to the Helicon Master, which is a watch that we're virtually sold out of. I think as of this morning, I've got 3 claret left, the 1 ultramarine blue. I think there are 6 or 7 iridium left, and I think 4 granite, and that's it. We developed that watch to be an everyday usable watch. And Sue M said, how about a beads of rice bracelet for it, Dave? I think it would really suit. We're going to be working on the bracelet ideas and looking at all sorts of options. So, you know, thanks, that really makes a difference to us, and we will look. But I think it's right. I think it would work great well on it. When we developed the Helicon Master, though, it was more than that. We wanted a watch that you could use every day, and anyone could use every day. So you could use it if you had a big wrist, if you had a small wrist. And this year we introduced you to Amy, who is a marine biologist friend of ours. I've known Amy a long time, and she left in April, May time to go and work in the Maldives. And she is part of the whale shark research program, and it's her job to monitor whale sharks, their migrations, their health, the reefs they live in, and also manage ecotourism in that area and the Maldives where she is. And also she is a dive master, so she has a safety responsibility diving with whale sharks. She sent us amazing pictures. I am not sophisticated enough with YouTube Live to drop these pictures in, but I will promise to try and improve in 2026. But we put some website pictures on there of Amy diving with whale sharks, and she uses a Helicon Master every day to dive. So she's in the water 5-6 days a week. It's a working watch, and she can wear it on her wrist very comfortably, as I can as well. So we wanted the Helicon Master to be everyday ultimate usable, and we designed the bracelet to be practical and strong. Not saying beads of rice won't be, but that was our main prerequisite for it, and that's something that's very important for it. How much would they sell for? Not sure what you mean, but anyway. Then, of course, we've got the watch that we created, or an edition we created with the Bond experience for Gatherall at GoldenEye in Jamaica. That was a really special part of what we did last year. David Zariski of the Bond experience has been a wonderful supporter. We've known David about 3 years now, and he worked with us to make a little special edition of the Iridium with a blue strap, which matched the color palette of Thunderball, the movie. And I think it's 50 years, the 50th anniversary of Thunderball. So that was a really lovely thing that we did for the Thunderball Gatherall event at GoldenEye in Jamaica. Really lovely. So we'll hopefully be working with David in the future. And I was just chatting to David not only 5 minutes ago. So we had that, which was really great. Questions coming in. Like the black and yellow version strap on some of the prototype watches. Yeah, we're going to be playing with color as we always do. Watch this space. The price of the watch, have a look on the website, Real Madrid. It's there. As I said, the Helicon Masters are on the website with the amounts that are left in stock. In other words, as I said, I've got one ultramarine blue, I think bracelet only. Just have a look there, it's all up to date. We sold one not 20 minutes ago, I know, Iridium, so they won't last long. And again, I say it so much that people probably become bored of it, but the Master is not going to be repeated. When we say limited, we mean limited. We have plenty of other things to do, and we want people to buy something from us and know they are part of an exclusive club. Now, let's just go on to the things. Yes, some of the people we've had watches with. So, as I said, we've had Amy in the Maldives, we've had customers in Australia, Asia, in the Arctic, working with our watches, in the Indian Ocean, Europe, Belgium, Aberdeen. So we've got a great customer, Leighton, who's in Aberdeen, who's in the industry, a customer of ours watches. And it is nothing more than gives us pleasure at seeing our watches being used. Use the watch, show us some pictures. Maybe we'll run some competitions for that in the new year. Show us a picture of your watch being used and being enjoyed. We had one guy who was working as a producer for the Super Bowl in New Orleans this year, and I think when we spoke to him, he was working literally 22-hour days during that production and kept sending us pictures of behind the scenes at the Super Bowl, which was phenomenal. I've never been to the Super Bowl, but it must be a really exciting part of sports, and certainly in America everyone is so passionate and enthusiastic, but to be at those behind the scenes from the Super Bowl was really amazing. The other thing that we did, and this is again inspired by what we do, is we have little gatherings and meetings which we send out to people, and we had my friend Hiro over from Tokyo. Now Hiro I've known for about 9 years now. He works with Seiko production, so that's Seiko movement production. So it's when I talk to Seiko about the developments, what's happening, I usually speak to Hiro. Now, Hiro has no capacity in terms of marketing or speaking. You know, Seiko, as a Japanese company, have a very regimented structure how they do that. But Hiro came to London, and we set a little meetup at the Angel in the Fields pub, which is in Marylebone, where a few of our customers came and we had a pint and a chat, and Hiro told us all about Seiko and how they movement manufacture and the history of Seiko and how things are organized. And I think everyone was absolutely amazed that someone from Seiko was having a beer with them and a chat. As I said, it wasn't a formal event. We had no cameras. We had no recording. I think it's only fair for Hiro. He's not a spokesman for the company, but just a friend of mine. And I think it's the sort of thing that we like to do. When we have friends and they're into London, we'll put a get together on. And I plan to do quite a few meets in 2026 where we'll try and meet you. We are not about marketing. We're not about talking about, you know, what everyone else is doing in the industry. We just want you to have an insight on what we're doing, which I think is hopefully something you're interested in. Now, I just also want to say about the watch shows that we did last year. So we drove from London to Glasgow for the inaugural Watch Collectors Club in Glasgow, which was amazing, just by the station. Daniel and I took an extended trip up into the Highlands and the islands. We had the most incredible weather. It was literally like the Italian Riviera. I'm told that Scotland is not usually like that, but we do like a road trip. Earlier in my watchmaking career, I used to drive here from London to Grenchen. I used to drive to Frankfurt. I used to drive to Glashütte. I just like driving, and I'd rather do that and bring back loads with me, especially research and materials and stuff, in the car than sitting on a plane. I did have one incident where I took my father to Frankfurt to see Zinn, because I was working with Zinn at the time, and we got to the airport, which was Frankfurt Hahn. I think we went on Ryanair, and it was so cold that every time we went to the hire car, we actually couldn't open the doors. The locks would open, but the car door was frozen solid. We had to go back about 3 times to find a way of unfreezing the door of these cars. So at that point, I said, never again. I'm going to take my own car and stay warm in the entire journey. But as I said, we drove from London to Glasgow for the Watch Collectors Club. And we also attended British Watchmakers Day last year, which was great, at the Royal Horticultural Halls in London. Now, important announcement. We will not be exhibiting at British Watchmakers this next year in 2026. And we have no plans to exhibit at the moment in the major shows. The reason for that is twofold. First of all, we don't really have time. I mean, honestly, Daniel and I are so busy with these projects and other projects that we just don't have the time to exhibit these shows. and therefore we'll be working on doing more with the YouTube channel, bringing you more into what we do in terms of production, talking to our watchmakers, and giving you a better insight into detail. I will be at British Watchmakers and you will be able to find me. I'm working on an idea, but I'm going as a member of the British Watchmakers Association, and I won't be exhibiting there. We just don't have time. But if you see me there, and I'll give you plenty of notice, do say hello. I'll be around and probably will hit the pub afterwards for a chat and just a social meet with anyone. But no plans to do shows, but we will do some get-togethers and maybe some talks. We did some talks a few years ago with some really interesting customers of ours, and people found them fascinating. But just like Hero from Seiko, they will be private closed events. They're not about social media. It's just about giving you an insight into what we do and getting you to have a chat with the people who do what we love. So I think that's really important. Now, just going back to my notes here, because there are many of them and I will forget them. YouTube. Now, it's something that I'm quite passionate about. It takes a lot of time. Forgive me for being so lousy with the camera. I've tried to be good with photography over many years. A couple of you suggested some hints about YouTube photography. I know I'm using the front-facing camera on my iPhone at the moment, which is why this is reversed. But we will be investing in some new equipment and some new lighting in 2026. So forgive us, we're learning, we're growing, but I would hope that you'd rather be interested in content than glamour and glitz. So please bear with us. We will try and get better at this. I'll try and get more organized, and that's why we're doing this. Now, on that note, we did bring you a couple of interviews because, as you probably can tell, and as Danielle, my wife, can verify, I do talk quite a lot. And there's only so much I can talk about with YouTube and with Helicon, because obviously things take time with Helicon. But I think there's an insight into the watch world that I'd really like to bring to people. There are many YouTube channels on watches, but they're mostly focusing on, or many of them focusing on, releases and the latest news and the latest get-togethers. Really want to bring you more insights into what's happening in the industry and the people that I know in it. We had two interviews this year, with one with Daniel Somlo of Somlo London. Dan is a lovely guy. The Somlo family, have been there since the 70s in in Piccadilly, and they've got a beautiful and really interesting insight into watch collecting, especially mid-century watches. And then there was Chris Manning, who is a friend of mine, who is Silverhand. We are both members of the Worshipful Company of Clockmakers. Chris is an extraordinarily talented machinist, hand engraver, creates his own watches in very, very limited numbers, hand engraves the dials. And Chris is just a lovely guy. And in the way that we want to collaborate going into the future, Chris helped me film an interview for this channel, and I want to be doing more of that, talking to people about watches, about the way they're affected with watches, how they use watches, how they produce watches, how they manufacture watches. I think that would be some interesting content. So if you've got any subjects that you'd like us to cover, then please do. I mean, I'm open to ideas, but we're working hard on this YouTube channel, both on YouTube and on social media, on Instagram. I don't really do TikTok. I just don't have the time for it. And I don't know if it's an audience for us, but tell me if I'm wrong. We've grown, I think, fourfold in audience, and we want to continue that growth because I can spend our budget, and, you know, let's be honest, that comes from the sales of watches, on paid advertising and lots of things like that, or I can create good content and give you an insight into the brand and build up these personal relationships and try and give you great service and great value and an interesting watch to own. So that's what I'd rather do, to be honest. Now, looking ahead to 2026, we're going to focus on building, on delivering these watches. We are still due for early 2026. January is going to be extremely busy for me, and bringing you the insights into that. But I can promise you there are many more interesting things going to happen in 2026, which we're working on as well. We, as I said, you know, it's been a wonderful year for growth for us, which is extraordinary, and I'm delighted about. But this is, you know, an overnight success story, which has taken 20 years. So I am under no illusions, and we will grow slowly, and we will grow hopefully securely, and we will grow in a way that we can obviously, as I said, give you, our supporters, what you want. You genuinely shape the future of Helicon. I think the trust and support and the emails and the great reviews we get and the comments on social media are amazing, and I think that's something we treasure. And I think, you know, when we do this, and this is a 24/7 job. I mean, Danielle and I will probably talk about design elements tonight. I know she's got a few things to finish off for me. It literally is 24 hours, 24/7. I think we've got Christmas Day and Boxing Day off, and then we've got some more work to do together. And we do this because we love it, but it's only with your encouragement and support we can really do what we love. And on that note, I have to say at the end of this year, a massive thank you to Danielle, my wife, for putting up with me, for really having the insight to know what people need before I even say it or she even says it. There is a natural tendency. She's not fond of being in front of the camera. She would much rather be designing, drawing, sketching, using software than talking to you. But I have to say a massive thank you. And I also want to say a massive thank you to Lisa, who helps us with our marketing, with the website, with the support, and answers some of your queries when you come through. So I have to say a massive thank you to Lisa, who is non-stop. She is really, an energy and a spirit behind us, which we're very grateful for, and really keeps us going, even when the evenings are dark and cold. So thank you, Lisa. And again, we'll introduce you to more of the team we're going to work with as the year progresses next year. You will want to meet some of the people we're going to work with, because it really is fascinating how the skills that are available both within the industry and the people we work with, you're talking about years of knowledge and skill, and it's fascinating to hear an expert on what they do. So that's where I think where we are. So all I can say to you is I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas, a happy, healthy and prosperous New Year, and thank you for all your support. Now, drop all your questions in the comments. We'd like to know where you're watching from, what Helicon you're wearing right now. And please, any suggestions, any Q&A suggestions, anything you want us to do, let us know, and we'll try and get that done for you. So, excited for 2026. Thank you for all your amazing support in 2025. And I wish you all, as I said, a very happy and healthy and peaceful New Year.